Okay, guys, I've been waiting to share this story for a few weeks. Today's my birthday, so I wanted to get it down and share it with you. It's about me and my childhood friend, Vieira. Christine Vieira. I called her Chrissy. We were not very close as kids. We were only brief friends as kids, as classmates. But I want to start a little earlier than that. Her birthday was just a couple weeks ago. She was born on June 9th. I was born on June 24th in the same little town in Alabama. And we were born in the same, and then we went our separate ways, right? And then we came back together at 12 years old when I was 12. And that was really unique because when I was 12, I had something really unique happen to me. A lot of people can just have described it as a near-death experience. If you've ever talked about that or read about that, then that's what happened to me when I was 12 years old. And the only person that really got that was my friend Christine. It made us very close at that moment. But after that, we went our separate ways, and our lives went on to have very different but similar, parallel paths as we moved on from there. To include, after I got out of the military, I took a job in Lawrenceville, Georgia, which is right outside of Atlanta, as an engineer for this company called Scientific Atlanta. And while I was at Scientific Atlanta, and in Lawrenceville, Georgia, two of my kids were born there. But it was also my second near-death experience in my life. So, what's also unique about Lawrenceville, though, is that Christine moved there a couple years after I did. Just a couple years, about a year and a half, actually. And I didn't find that out until years and years later. But she moved there. And what's interesting about that is another connection to me there in that Lawrenceville to her is the fact that one of her best friends had her daughter in that same hospital that I had two of mine on. And she had that daughter on the same day that my grandson was due. He actually my daughter was induced, so he was born a few days earlier than that. But he was due on the 22nd of April, which is the same day her child was born in that same hospital that the other two of mine were born in, that I had my near-death experience in. Yeah. And then, as well as her two best friends, she had two best friends, they were sisters actually, and both of them lost their mother on the same day as I lost my grandfather. It was the same day as a very good friend of mine lost her grandmother when I was 12. They lost their mother a couple months before Chrissy passed away. And my friend that gave me a place to stay when I was a homeless kid lost her grandmother when we were kids on December 8th. I lost my grandfather as a young man on December 8th. He basically raised me. And my spiritual soulmate, we'll call her, his two best friends lost their mother on that same day. And it even gets a little weirder than that. That same day, or the day before that, December 7th, because if you know anything about spiritual anything and numbers, it's never an exact. It's always within three. You'll hear that a lot. 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 30. Right? That's because when you read numbers, like in math, 1 plus 1 is 2. It's always 2. But in cosmic law, it's 1 plus the term transition, which is the second one, to the third one, that makes 1 plus 1, 3. So that would mean that's how December 8th would be significant in my life. So would December 7th. So would December 9th. Right? And on December 7th, 1963, my father, his dad, and two of his brothers were building the family home in Midland City, Alabama, and witnessed the biggest accident to ever hit that part of the world. A little small town, man. Not even a red light. And 12 family members of mine were killed in a train accident. Only one survived, so 11 didn't. One survived, my little cousin, my dad's cousin, my cousin. She was 13 months old, okay? And let's just say that, because I had another cousin in that same car that lost her life that day that was only a year old. It was her first birthday, December 7th. But there was 5 adults in the car in 1963 with no electric windows, no power locks. And this is, Middlesfield, Alabama is not a place with hills. You can see a train coming from a mile away. All right? My cousin that survived was taken to the same hospital that Christina and myself would be born in 10 years later. She died this week, a few days ago. There was a big news article that I shared earlier this week on my page, and talking about her time as a nurse in Dothan, Alabama. She was the very first nurse at that hospital that we were all born in, or that I was born in, Chrissy was born in, and that my cousin was taken care in. She was the very first nurse of that hospital in the 50s. The article they posted over this week when she passed away is of her and dealing with the hardest case she had, and she was holding a little baby, my 13-month-old cousin. If you read that article, she also talk about in there the first patient she ever admitted, because it's now a records room and at the hospital, the old hospital in Dothan, was room 208. So 2, 8, and 13. 2, 8, and 13. 2, 8, and 13. 2, 8, and 13. I found out a year and a half after Christina passed. Mother's Day this year, actually. She passed away on February 13, 2018. Which is the same day that I had, well, not the exact same day, 2 days later, I had my last near-death experience. It was my third one. And I also found out that Chrissy lost her life tragically in Taiwan at 42. And she had made a previous attempt on her life before that and had a near-death experience that she talked about in great detail online, in great detail. And then there's one other thing that you'll read about that nurse that took care of all 3 of us. See, I have a similar problem that she does. There's certain medications I can't take. Same way my friend Chrissy. We can't take things like penicillin. We can't take things like Xanax. Our bodies can't process them and get rid of the toxic parts that are left behind when you take the drug for a long period of time. It just builds up in your system. It builds up in your system. And it can appear to make you do something very crazy. She fell off a 5-story building. As crazy as that sounds, mine was even worse. But you have no memory of it. You have no memory of it. It's not an intentional thing. Trust me, it would be easier if it was intentional. It really would be. You could deal with that. You could wrap your head around it. Look, shit, you just snap. You know, one of those days we've all had them where you couldn't get out of it for whatever reason, but you survived. God bless, and you move forward. But when you can't remember it, which I found out that she never recovered. The only memory she recovered from her fall was seeing her guardian angel standing next to her when she came back into her body. Her father saw that guardian angel as well. And it gave her great comfort, and it allowed her to come to terms with that she might not remember it, and it definitely wasn't intentional, but the only way she could have fell off was to have been jumped or pushed or driven energy, you know. But that nurse had to give up nursing not long. Or she had to go to nursing, and I don't think that I think she was gone before we were even born, to be honest. I know I might have said that she took care of us. I meant the same facility, but I think she had previously given up nursing because she was allergic to the same thing. And one day she got penicillin on her, absorbed through her skin, heart stopped. Any of my friends that know me close, that happened to me twice when I was a kid. Heart stopped. Had to be rushed to the hospital. I didn't need to be revived those couple times, but my heart stopped. Twice. Once when I was 15, once when I was 16, once when I was 12. Stopped when I was 26. It stopped in February of 2017, and I hit a light pole going 70 miles an hour. It stopped behind the wheel on my way to work, and it stopped 2 more times actually. More times. It seems like every time I sit down and think about it, I discover another time. Like, oh crap, I forgot about that one. I forgot that it stopped then. But with all that being out, let me just say that months ago, a spiritual connection or a spiritual soulmate is a little different than a regular soulmate that we think of down here. Down here, a soulmate can be with anybody or anything. It can be with a parent, a child, a lover, a pet, plants, anything living. You know, you can just feel like your soul, you're just drawn to it, drawn to each other for whatever reason, you know. Well, they call it a spiritual soulmate, twin flame, some people call them. It's the idea that as above, as below, as within, as without, within, you know, that we're always forever connected. And man, I'm sorry. This is just there's so much more. Like, I think it would freak out the Pope if I said everything. And the crazy thing about it is it's all public information. It's all on the internet. That's how I found it all. It didn't come to me in a dream. A friend didn't tell me. I found it. But like I said, on the positive side, it's been almost 2 years now. I haven't had the slightest thing happen, and I don't take a single medication anymore. A single medication. I was on 4 injections every 2 weeks, 7 pills a day since 2001. I mean, some of those, it started in 2001, and things were added as the years went by. I don't take a thing, literally a thing. I gave up alcohol, tobacco. I vape, I'll be honest, I vape. But I like the clove stuff, that's my vape. I like it's more about a flavor, I think, or a spice, and I don't smoke it in the same way that I used to smoke cigarettes. But I gave up meat, except for organically fed and raised, and I started raising my own. I went 90% vegetarian. I gave up dairy. I gave up deodorant. I gave up regular deodorant. I went with crystal deodorant. I have charcoal toothpaste and charcoal skin cleaner, and I don't know, man. I feel better than ever. I fasted for 30 days. Nothing but fruit and water. I took every piece of fat off my body that was on it. And now, in the last week and a half, it's been about rebuilding. And I'm obsessed with it. What else can I do to improve, to be better, to be healthier? I've had insomnia since college. 18, 19 years old. I sleep like a baby now. Like a baby. Yeah. I don't wear shoes no more. except when I have to. And even those are two different ones that my son tried to paint. I don't care. I'd rather be barefoot anyway now. And this is someone that used to couldn't walk from the bathroom to the bedroom without socks on his feet, and couldn't sleep without them either, even as a baby. Can't stand them now. Thanks, Carol. As you can see, my hair looks like I don't even know what. But man, don't let people tell you that your hair is dead. There's a reason why the cultures don't cut their hair. Your hair ain't dead, bro. What God wouldn't put nothing on you to be cut off. I promise you. You know. I took my son to get his ears pierced the other day, and I made both my daughters wait till they were old enough to ask to have their ears pierced. And I don't believe in circumcision, so that wasn't an issue. It wasn't even an option when my son was, when I was, I had to make that decision. That's because I've never believed, and my mom taught me this, that God would put anything on you that was meant to be cut off. Why would he do that? Hair, skin, whatever it is. Why would he? We're in his image, man. Why would we come here and be meant to shave this? I mean, I'm sure at some point you got to decide something to do with it. But for me, right now it's just more about getting in touch with who I am and who I'm supposed to be. So it feels more natural not to cut it. So I haven't cut it. I've learned more about foods and life in the last few months. My awakening started in February of 2018, but it really kicked up, man. About from May 10th to June 10th, 30 days of barely no sleep, didn't need it, and fasted the entire 30 days. Didn't need it. And discovered what a spiritual soulmate was. That's for damn sure. That's why I was so driven for those 30 days. Because the more I found out, and trust me, I haven't even scratched the surface. Okay, I feel better. I kind of went on a rant for a different reason earlier because I got pissed off at the scammer people, but this was about. Thank you back for reminding me what I need to get back to doing today. And talk to you soon. Bye, guys.